basically what we're going to do is we're going to install Postgres directly onto your machine. And again, the reason for this is because when running larger databases, it makes it easier for you to control the speed that the queries will run at, and dbFiddle basically can't handle that large-scale database. And Valentina DB is just going to be a tool that's going to make it very, very easy for us to run queries and manage our database in a visual way. And so when installing this software, the installation process is going to be different for Mac, for Windows, and for Linux. And the configuration is going to differ slightly. Now, because we are running a setup on your computer, there is going to be a URL associated with Postgres because Postgres is running as a server. And a server always runs on a URL. And that URL is going to be localhost. Localhost is just referring to your local machine. And it's going to be running on a certain port. So what does that mean? Well, a port is just like a number on a house. It's a certain door that is open for your computer, and it's kind of like an address. So localhost at address 5432 is where we'll find Postgres. So our username is always going to be Postgres. And our password, we're always going to try to set to root so that we have a consistency here in terms of what we're trying to set up. Now, this is not a secure password, nor should you ever do this in a work environment or a production environment. So the URL is localhost, which means the connection URL is also going to be localhost. These two things mean the same thing. Don't worry about it. And so when we go into the installation phase, what you need to know is that we will be installing version 12 of Postgres. Version 12 of Postgres is the latest and greatest, but you can go and you can use the newest, latest, and greatest version of Postgres because the databases we have here should be just fine any version beyond 12. One thing to note here is that if you are running a 32-bit system of Windows, you are going to have to install version 10. And version 10 will work just fine as well. Now, how do I know if I have a 32-bit system? Good question. Well, if we go into Windows and we go into System Information, what we'll see here is a system type. And here you can see I'm running a 64-bit system. If you are running a 32-bit system, what you're going to need to do is install version 10. Everyone else can focus on version 12. And there will be different installation steps for different platforms. And we'll go through those as we go along. But just know, version 10 is just fine. You're going to be able to run all of the queries we talk about. Some of the things may not overlap quite as well because Postgres 12 has newer features, but just know that you'll be able to do everything just fine. So with that being said, let's get into the installation for the different platforms.